There, Arsenal start their campaign against great rivals Manchester United. And we're going to talk about the Gunners now because they remain on the brink of a triple signing that could be in excess of £120 million. Mark, Victor Gyökeres, how many times do I have to ask you before you tell me he's signed, it's a done deal? What's the latest?
Not as many as the times you've asked about Brian and Bumo.
OK.
We're still going strong with this one. Yeah, so Arsenal are close to an agreement with Sporting Lisbon for the striker, the 27-year-old you can see there on the back of your screen, Victor Gyökeres. We understand that they have agreed the fixed fee part of this potential transfer deal, which is £55 million. The add-ons are now being discussed. And one of the reasons why this deal has moved a step closer to being completed is because the agent has agreed to waive a chunk of his fee, which has helped Arsenal and Sporting Lisbon get this deal a step closer. The other thing to point out as well is that Coventry are due around 10% of any profit that Sporting Lisbon make on this one. They sold him to Sporting a couple of summers ago for around £21 million. So if they're going to get about 70 million, give or take, depending on add-ons, that could be worth £4 to £5 million for Frank Lampard and that Coventry City side, which would be huge in the Championship to inject there. So they're so close. It's just those final details and the structure of those add-ons which are so crucial to getting this one done. But it feels like now it's only a matter of time before Arsenal fans can turn around and say, finally, we've got the striker that we've been craving for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 windows.
And Damesh, is it just a matter of time for Madueke and Mosquera?
Certainly looks that way. Madueke, this one is as good as done. Personal terms on a 5-year deal have been agreed. Just a reminder of the deal, Arsenal will pay Chelsea an initial £48.5 million plus £3.5 million in performance-related add-ons, so a total fee of £52 million. Formal announcement on that one is expected soon. Cristhian Mosquera, meanwhile, he's a defender from Valencia. He's in London for a medical ahead of his move. He's only had a year left on his contract at Valencia. Valencia trying to tie him down to a new longer-term contract, but once Arsenal came in, his mind was made up. He wanted to go. And so Valencia were in a bit of a situation. They thought if we keep him for another year, we'll lose him for free. He can basically talk to Arsenal in January about a pre-contract agreement and we'll lose him for nothing. So I think they're trying to come up with a compromise on a price. They wanted £25 million. We think Arsenal will pay a little bit less than that. It's an initial £13 million plus add-ons. And again, that one should be sorted in the next few days.
So of all those incomings, Mark, is Arsenal still interested in Eza?
They are. It's something that Damesh has been saying for the last couple of weeks on these transfer shows. The targets were a 10, a left winger and a striker, so they potentially were looking to recruit 3 new faces during the course of this summer transfer window. We know that they're interested in Eberechi Eza. They've been exploring the conditions of a potential deal. The key thing is that Eza would be open to moving to North London as well, which always makes things a lot easier. We understand that there is a release clause in that Crystal Palace contract of 60 million guaranteed with 8 million in add-ons. So it could be potentially as well, and what a sum of this would be, Noni Madueke, Victor Gyökeres and Eberechi Eza, that would completely transform what Arsenal have. When you add the young players and Bukayo Saka, suddenly Arsenal fans will be licking their lips saying, this is the type of squad, this is the type of strength and depth we want. These are the types of players that we believe can finally get us over the line.
Yeah, imagine that. And as well as, you know, all those incomings, they, of course, will make the headlines, Arsenal spending money. But, Damesh, it's also important that Arsenal tie down their young stars as well, and that's exactly what they've done.
Absolutely. Look, the 3 players that are already in at Arsenal, new signings, 3 more are almost guaranteed to be confirmed in the next week or so. Miles Lewis-Skelly signed a new contract earlier on in this transfer window, and now it looks like Ethan Nwaneri is going to follow suit as well. I think Arsenal are advancing in talks over a new deal and a new long-term contract for Nwaneri. There's a willingness and a confidence from all parties now to conclude this deal. He's entered the final year of his current deal at Arsenal, so it was really quite emergent that Arsenal tied Nwaneri down now. They didn't want him going 6 months from the end of his contract without sorting this deal out. There was plenty of interest, as you would expect, from home and abroad for the 18-year-old. But it was clear that his desire was always to stay at Arsenal. And he had such a breakthrough season, didn't he, last season? Probably he himself and probably Arsenal didn't expect him to play as many matches as he did. But the injury to Bukayo Saka opened up an opportunity for Nwaneri. I think he scored 9 goals for Arsenal in all competitions last season. And it looks like he's going to be there for the long term as well.
Wow, big competition for places in this Arsenal team. And speaking of Arsenal,
in the last week or so about bringing players in, are they going to keep and tie down Ethan Nwaneri?
Yes, Mike. They're going to do it. And for Arsenal fans, so much of this window has been about incomings. It's about transfers. They've been very busy. There's plenty of potential transfers to come on the horizon. But what Arsenal have been doing in between this summer has been tying down players to long-term deals. Miles Lewis-Skelly signed a new contract in June. Gabriel signed a new contract in June too. Ethan Nwaneri had 1 year left on his contract. He's only 18 years old, but he's committed to Arsenal. We understand that talks are at a very advanced stage between both parties. They're both very keen to get this done, and it's going to be a long-term contract. We're just literally at this phase now of waiting for an announcement from the club. But really good news for Arsenal as a club, really good news for the fans. This is a talented young player. We're talking about a lot of talented young players today. This is one of them, nominated for PFA Young Player of the Year this season. Youngest ever player to play in the Premier League at 15 years and 181 days. So Arsenal tying him down, long-term deal, 4 to 5 years is what is being talked about.
Arsenal and Sporting CP are just $2 million apart in valuation in a deal for striker Victor Gyökeres, according to Record. The Gunners have been very busy in the summer transfer window so far as Mikel Arteta looks to help the team make the step up to becoming Premier League champions, having finished as runners-up in each of the last 3 seasons. A move for the Sweden star has been prioritised for the number 9 position this summer, but the clubs continue to battle over the final details of the deal, and an update has now emerged. Arsenal had initially been looking to do a deal for around 60 million, 10 million in add-ons after being told of a pact between the players' representatives and the club, but the Portuguese champions publicly denied the existence of such an agreement and have refused to sell for that amount. Now Sporting are demanding a deal worth 80 million to let Gyökeres, who has been described as the best striker in the world and unstoppable, including add-ons. And according to a fresh report in Portugal on Wednesday, there is currently just 2 million separating Arsenal and Sporting from striking an agreement as the Gunners look to lower their demands ever so slightly. However, Sporting are adamant they want the whole fee. But with such a small gap between the clubs, it's now believed that there is confidence from all parties that a deal can be finalised this week, with the player to then travel for a medical before heading to Singapore with the squad for their pre-season tour next week. Arsenal have already completed deals for Kepa Arrizabalaga, Christian Norgard and Martin Zubimendi, while deals for Cristhian Mosquera and Noni Madueke are imminent, with both players having undergone medicals after fees were agreed with Valencia and Chelsea respectively. Gyökeres would be a major coup for Arteta's side after scoring 97 goals in 102 games during his time in Portugal, and it seems they are finally set to get their man into the Emirates.